Hello, fictional. Welcome to the Fiction Series X. Today we are gonna see, what if Issei become a Red Dragon King? Part 1. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. It was a dark night in a forest near the border of a little town known as Kuo. In the silence of the darkness, you could have heard a silent sobbing of a small boy. A 10-year-old with clear brown spike hair. It was clear that a tragedy has befallen the boy. That was what an adult with messy hair and blonde bangs at the end of his hair, dressed in a plain gray kimono saw, but besides the child, he felt two weak presence of human adults that were fading away, and right beside the boy, a red mass of energy that he felt while taking a walk in said forest a few minutes ago. He did have some information, but still insufficient to say what exactly happened here. So he decides to speak to the little boy. Hey, little one, what happened? Why are you crying in a place like this? But no answer came from the boy. The man waited for a while longer, then grabbed the boy by the shoulders and lifted his head up. The boy was concise, but the light was gone from his eyes. Well, this is a mess. I was just going to annoy Shemahaza by slipping away from the work for a while, but here I step into a troublesome situation. Well, then what to do? In a moment the older man lifted his hand and slapped the boy in hope of getting him to return to reality. The boy started to turn his head in the man's direction with a red mark now on his cheek. Good. Seems like you are back in the land of the living. Thought I would need to slap you a few more times to get your attention. Now, what happened here, boy? The boy started to open and close his mouth, trying to find his own voice and words to describe the tragedy that unfolded. The situation distracted him so much that he altogether forgot about the fact that a stranger dressed in a kimono of all things just appeared out of nowhere in the middle of the mountains at night. We were looking at the stars, then Dad was attacked by something. Mom tried to help, but Dad told her to take me and run. When we got here, that thing caught up with us and attacked your mother, huh? But I don't feel anything here, so where is the something? Asked the man after taking a few glances at the surroundings. The only thing that boy did was lift his right hand and point at the tree. The man slowly put down the boy on the ground and took a few steps to the place pointed by his small companion. What he saw was something that amazed him. To say it simply in human language, it was a monster, but for the man, it was pretty easy to determine exactly what kind of monster it was. Wow, for this kind of thing to be in Japan, it's pretty rare, not to add almost impossible for it to be true. After hearing those words, the boy finally really looked at the man. Why is he here? What is he doing? Why is he dressed like that? Well, the unknown man started to observe the remains of the creature. The boy's mind started to pose questions about his predicament. Realizing that the boy finally starts to look at him, the man smirked and started to talk. No need to worry, kid. I'm only here for a stroll, and I find that Japanese clothes are very comfortable. The boy's face changed to one of surprise upon the man's words. How? Have anybody told you that you are easy to read, kid? That face of yours shows everything. Upon his answer, the boy's face started to relax. His body, losing whatever remaining strength, slumped against the bark of the tree behind him. My parents used to say that a lot. You know what that thing is? Yeah. Seen this quite a lot in my line of work. It's called a nihog, a parasite offspring of a Norse creature. It possesses other living beings and takes control of them, mutating them in order to better the host body. The majority of times hosts die before the mutation. Though it has been observed that some cases attain a perfect mutation and survive. You're lucky its host was a majority and it died before getting you. It did get me. But then something happened, and the next thing I know it's dead. At those words, the figure in the kimono turns back and finally notices that the boy had the most amazing clear chocolate-colored eyes that he has ever seen in his long life. After thinking about what else could kill a creature known for its fierceness, man has once again felt the presence that initially made him direct himself to this place. A presence he remembered all too well. His personality and position made it a necessity to make sure his hunch was right. Seems that you walk yourself up, Drake. At those words, the boy's left hand started glowing red light, and after a moment a red gauntlet with a green gem at center of his hand. It seems that way, Azazel. It's been a while. Haven't seen you for 3 of my hosts already. The strong and low voice rang to both of their ears, and after a few seconds another's voice sliced through the silence of the night. Aye. Get it off. Get it off. Calm down, partner. He is right, kid, you need to relax. But I'm surprised to meet the next security during my night out of work. Siki what? Asked a dumbfounded boy. The Red Dragon Emperor, locally called Security. Said man, not fazed by anything that is happening right now. While pointing at the core of the creature, man said. He seems a little young for being able to awaken you, not add being able to kill a nihog like that. Indeed. For a simple human, it would normally be impossible, but the boy has quite strong and pure emotions. His rage and sorrow were strong enough for me to awaken, and he was able to use one of my powers at such a young age. He possesses a great affinity with a dragon such as myself. You don't say, says the old man, stroking his beard. "Hey kid, what's your name?" Now asking for the most important thing, the boy answers with a little hesitation. "Issei, hi, OP Issei. Issei, hi, I'm Azazel. I got an offer for you. If you come with me I can tell you about that red gauntlet of yours and explain what I think happened to you here. Of course, that is if you want to." Thinking about his proposition, he looks at the bodies of his parents and then at his hand. And finally speaks. "Fine, but what about my parents' bodies? Don't worry. I will send someone to recover them and give them a proper burial. We will send a word to the police as well. It will all come down to a wild animal attack, but better a story that can be easily accepted than the truth. So, you coming or not?" After a minute of doubt, he answers him. "Okay." After hearing those words, Azazel smirked and a bright light appeared beneath both of them. The boy did not know that ahead of him are trials and many hardships, as well as the love and happiness that his parents wished for him. 10 years later, Riaz Pav. My name is Riaz Gremory, next heir to the high-class devil clan of Gremory. But right now I think that my life is about to end. By the hands of one of the most powerful beings to have survived the Great War, as well as being one of leaders for the fallen angel faction, Azazel. Why, you ask? Well, he is a warmonger who wishes to begin yet another war between the three main factions. As such, he's willing to destroy Kuo town, of which has been entrusted to my care. Though it's a small place in the country of Japan, each of my trusted servants live here. Yet we're all fighting for not only for our own, but the town's survival. However, we're not alone. An exorcist by the name of Zenobia Quarta was dispatched by the church to help with the holy sword Durandal. Yet it still became utterly pointless in the face of such a powerful foe. We're all at the end of the line, it seems. I trusted Queen Akeno Himejima, whom I found on borders of my family's territory. Kaneko Taoju, my beloved rook whom my brother saved and entrusted me to take care of. My shy, yet brave Bishop Gaspar Vladi, who had been exiled by his own family for being different. My other, gentle Bishop Asia Argento, whom I rescued after she was thrown away from the church for helping a devil. And finally, my strong knight, Udo Kiba, a sole survivor of the Holy Sword Project. The man known as Valper Galilei, or the Genocide Archbishop, was the one who conducted the experiments on Udo and had been revealed to be an accomplice of Azazel's. But while the chain of events that took place after this unveiling had allowed Yuuko to achieve his balance breaker sword birth, it still proved useless. I was too arrogant. I thought that with so much strength from each of my servants and a member of the church, that we could win. But I was wrong, so very wrong. Yet how? How could I have thought that we, a household of a mere 6 devils, and a human that wielded the power a holy sword, could win against an original fallen angel? I'm so sorry, dear family, I failed. But if there was one thing I would truly regret from my life, it would be the fact that I was never able to experience true love. Though in the middle of my lamenting, I never noticed the large stream of red energy coming down from the sky. Yet what I did take note of was the sudden voice that spoke up, it being warm and full of confidence. Normal Pav. It is time to die, Riaz Gremory. Your death will be a new stepping stone for my grand ambique. Azazel began, but his words were stopped short as the confident voice suddenly echoed all around them. I don't think so. No one will be dying here. And with those words the enormous barrier surrounding the whole academy shattered into tiny pieces. Though after this occurred, a stream of red light came down from the sky and hit the ground. Upon landing the light soon disappeared, yet in its place stood a person clad in red armor. But the more eye-catching parts were the glowing green gems on various areas across the armor itself. Azazel's eyes soon widened in surprise along with each of the devils and even Zenobia's. Yet while the fallen angel seemed more nervous than anything, the others appeared rather thankful to this new arrival. Welsh dragon. Why are you here? Azazel demanded loudly as his eyes narrowed heavily on the armor-covered person. Welsh dragon, Riaz echoed silently as her eyes widened in even greater surprise, to which she watched the dragon come closer to the fallen angel. Yo, old man. It's been quite a while. The armored being said with a somewhat passive tone as if nothing going on around him was a big deal. Why did you came here? This is none business of security. Azazel stated as he pointed a finger at the person before him. Well, it became my business when old man Azazel gave me the order to bring you in. The Welsh dragon said as he took one last step forward. Now then, we can either do this the easy way, he continued on as he hit an armored fist into his open hand, or the hard way. At these words, the fallen angel glared heavily on his new opponent before flapped his wings strongly and flew into the air. Don't make me laugh. He started as he brought his arms up. As if a worm like you could hurt someone like me. He called out in a confident yet rather arrogant tone as a large spear of light formed in his hands. Take this. You lowly dragon piece of garbage. Azazel finished before he threw his spear after it reached such enormous size that dodging at this point became useless. Hard way it is then. Was all Security muttered before he moved his body into a fighting stance and watched the slow-moving spear come down toward him. The attack itself moving quite sluggish due to the massive amount of power poured inside of it. You think that you can survive my attack? the fallen angel yelled as his eyes narrowed, yet there was a bit of nervousness in his tone. You dare mock me? Then take it and die. You lower life form. He finished loudly, his voice still holding a bit of worry. But the Welsh dragon still did not move a muscle, save for just before the spear's impact. Him pulling a fist back as another, yet somewhat gruff voice echoed out a single word. Boost. Immediately following this, Securite swung his fist forward and collided with the gigantic spear. Though upon doing so, said attack instantly shattered apart as if it were merely made of glass, to which the remnants of magic soon disappeared. This surprising everyone watching as it left them all completely speechless for a few moments. Only Cacabiel managing to say something, but it was merely to project his disbelief. But that's impossible. I am Securite, Drag. One of my sacred gear, the boosted gear Abelites, is to double my own power every 10 seconds. The Welsh dragon said with a voice of confidence. Whatever you throw at me I'll send it right back at you, in double quantity. He continued, to which he suddenly seemed to appear mere millimeters in front of the fallen angel. You overstepped your boundaries, shitey old man, now go to sleep. He finished with a silent tone before the voice echoed out once more. Boost. But this being said, a flashing blur of the Welsh dragon's fist hit Cacabiel's stomach and knocked him out instantly. This leading for him to drop right to the ground with a thud, to which Securite merely stepped to the side and shifted his armored head toward the unconscious rogue exorcist, freed. I'll be taking that priest over there as well. Azazel has some questions for him, so I'll be needing him too. Securite stated to the devils to the side as they just stared at him. Though his words broke them out of their daze, to which they turned toward Freed as well and narrowed their eyes. Him having been defeated by Udo and Zenobia, despite wielding a reconstructed, yet fake Excalibur. But the weapon itself still held very impressive power that proved to be a bit of a challenge, even for Udo's newly attained balance break. Yet before they knew it, the rogue priest soon vanished in a flash of red before their eyes, to which they quickly turned back to the Welsh dragon, as he had both Freed and Cacabiel in his arms. Securite then tilted his head up and bent his armored knees slightly as if to prepare to fly. Yet just before he could push off the ground, one of the few devils near of him spoke to him. Wait. Was the female voice he heard, causing him to pause and turn toward the one who called out to him. Who he saw was enough to make any man or woman skip a heartbeat in response. She was a beautiful woman wearing a uniform that belonged to the school they were currently standing next to. Bedside the few bruises and scratches she attained from the fight, she still looked utterly stunning. Though she also had an amazing aura about her, which all but radiated grace and nobility. But what caught his eye the most was her figure. Such a small perfect waist, magnificent curves for her butt and breasts that rivaled any fallen angel women that he ever met. However, the most stunning part of her was the color of her hair. It was a pure crimson that made him think that she was truly the most gorgeous woman he met in his life. But as she had continued speaking, it snapped him out a daze that he didn't realize he was in. Why did you help us? She questioned with a hint of respect toward him and the power she has seen him wield. If you must know, I have 4 reasons to help you, Ria's Gremory. He said with a neutral sounding tone, though it didn't prevent the brief surprise of the red-headed girl at him knowing her name. 1. It was an order. 2. I don't like Cacabiel war as all this guys talks about. Have you ever tried to hold a normal conversation with this around? It's impossible. 3. I care for this town to a degree. And lastly, but most importantly, he continued silently as he paused for a moment, to which each of the others all but inched forward in expectation to what he'd say next. I couldn't live with myself to let someone as beautiful and brave as you to die by hands of this scum while protecting this town. Was his finishing words as his very tone sounded as though he were giving a charming smile to her. Immediately following these words, the young heiress soon produced a new and previously unknown reaction. A deep blush going from ear to ear. Her rush of blood quickly stopped, however, when the Welsh dragon started moving away from her. I best be going. Was all he said as he jumped lightly into the air and hovered for a moment. Wait. Who are you? Riaz called out as she took a few quick steps forward as the armored dragon started flying higher and higher. The name is Drag, and we will meet again, Riaz Gremory. He called back to her before flying off into the sky before disappearing completely. Though after a few moments of just staring at the sky, each of the devils and the church's exorcists turned away as Ria's childhood friend, Sona Satiri, appeared. Along with her, many of her own servants followed close behind, all of whom had been keeping the barrier up before it was destroyed. But due to them being part of the school's student council, Sona had her friend and her servants help in the rebuilding of the school. Despite taking over an hour to reconstruct everything that had been damaged, Riaz still decided on walking home. Her having too many thoughts in her mind to go to sleep right away as she eventually made it home. Though while thinking about the Welsh dragon she just met, she slowly began to drift off to sleep. However, when she recalled Securite's last words, she soon regained the deep red blush on her face. Securite, Drag ha. Riaz pav. A dream. Or should I say a distant memory of mine. 5 years ago, a mansion in the underworld that was a place for negotiations between the devil faction represented by my brother and one of Four Mouths Surzich's Lucifer and one of fallen angels leaders Azazel, or that's what I heard. But here I'm, after begging my brother while potting, he finally agreed to take me with him. I had enough of my family's house. I knew every corner of that place and I became very bored, and having overprotecting father does not help it at all. I'm not allowed to go to city or taking trips alone with my servants that consisted of only Akeno and Kaneko at the time. But after hearing a gossip talk between maids at home about brother's bus's trip, I decided to take my chance and go with him to see something new. Unfortunately, I was not able to take my queen and rook because of nature of meeting, or that what my brother said to me while agreeing to take me. But I started to think that it was a stupid idea. We were waiting in a big bright red room that looked like study, having a wooden desk, bookshelf full of books that gone to the ceiling, a little square table and on each while a brown sofa covers. 2 big windows where shine light into the room from each side of bookshelf. What I could see outside was a big round square and a few soldiers from both faction trying not to interact with each other. The mansion itself was nothing special, it seemed to me like someone's summer house then in mansion, but while living in one of the largest house I have ever been to, I was not surprised and kept that information to myself. Getting back to problem at hand, I was starting thinking fallen angels were making us look like fools, and by use I mean mostly my brother and his maid wife Queen Graphia. We were waiting for 2 hours already, for love of God. Oh. I sometime forget that those words give us devils a headache. But looking at situation I could not help myself. I mean, if I knew that we would be waiting for their leader that long, I would stay and play with Akeno and Kaneko or study more about Japan. I was becoming fascinated with home country. You need to be patient with this kind of things, Rias. Azazel is known to be sloppy at official business, and as future leader of Gremory, it is very important to keep you cool at all times. Getting opponent irritated or angry is one of basic strategies of negotiations or politics. While saying those things, Graphia nods to those words. At the same time my brother's talk ended and fallen angel soldier entered the room, stopping our talk while preparing mentally for the talk with his leader. Or that what we thought. I'm terribly sorry, Lord Lucifer, but it seems that Master Azazel caught flu and is not able to participate in talks. Just how could a legendary being that is recorded in Bible fall in front of flu? Fortunately we were able to contact someone else and he has just arrived, but he said that after making you wait for that long, he will understand if you would not like to talk with our side. Who is this person, if I may know? It is Master's Azazel right hand, Master Shemahaza, sir. Ah, if it is Shemahaza Dono, then I suspect to do it faster than if I were to talk to Azazel. While I may be disrespectful to Master, it is true. He is waiting in garden behind the mansion, he would like to talk there. If you would follow me I will show you the way. At those words, after 2 hours of sitting, I finally got up together with my brother and follow in the soldier. We were led to garden behind house. I need to say that it may not been our garden, it had a refreshing feeling to it. Looking around, I suspect because it was an open garden next to small forest and in the distance I could see a small lake. In center of garden I saw a man in what appeared his 20s with a short hair of black color, dressed in a grey business suit, sipping what looked like a cup of tea. Ah, Sizich Dono. Welcome, and I need to apologize for comfort my superior made for you and your attendants. It is fine, Shemahaza Dono. I suspect that no one could imagine that the Azazel could catch a flu. About that, it seems that he infected himself by using a transfer magic during a trading session with one of his pupils to do not attend this meeting. Of course, after hearing that I tried to talk to home, but he said that he just did not feel like going. The word stupid got just a new meaning in all of our heads as listening to Shemahaza's story. I see, answered my brother. Well, Graphia, just shush at the information. But do not worry. I already made sure that he would be close in his room with all of his unfinished work. I imagined that my brother thought that his wife and this person's would become close friends, having to deal with the same type of problems. Either way, who is this young lady? Let me introduce my little sister Rias Gremory. It is a pleasure, Oju-san. At his words I nodded and gave a fake smile that he did not notice. Rias, why don't you see that lake over there? After sitting for that long, I bet you would like to take a walk. For Shemahaza it seemed like a normal request, but for me it meant that we would like to talk about classified information, and for that reason you can't be here. I understood that after waiting all that time there was not a chance for small talk between them, so without a word I nodded and gone to the lake. After few minutes of walking the forest, I was in front of a perfectly blue lake. It was not surprised that it was not a big lake, surprise was to find a tree and rock right to my left. The rock was halfway water and tree was hanging its leaves at water. But it stunned me to see a boy sitting beneath that tree, a boy that looked to be my age. I got closer and made sure that he was near my age. He was looking up into sky, but I was able to take a good look at his face, and it was pretty cute, and what was especially great was his light brown color eyes. What are you doing here? Well, keeping on edge at any danger, I spoke to that boy, and he finally looked at me. Thanks to that I was able to prove my theory about his face and eyes, but besides I was able to make his just like eyes brown spike hair. Uncle Shemahaza brought me here. Said that sometimes it is good to have a change of pace. And you, what are you doing here? I came with my brother that is talking to him right now. After another moment face of boy in front of me became bit red. Why I wonder. His face turned aside, but with a breeze of wind he turned back to me and his face became more red as his mouth opened a bit at the same time the wind blow my hair in midair. Red I heard him say, not exactly. It is crimson, I guess you could call it a trait in my family, everyone besides my has different color hair like this. Most adults said the same about me that my family always had this kinds of hair color or something like that. He ended his statement while turning his head away from my gaze. For a while she stared like that while I stared at him all the time he took a few glances at me. After what seemed like an hour I spoke. I need to go, my brother may get worry. Red, color of love, the color of rose in full bloom. The color that connects two destinies of two people by the thing that represents love. After hearing what seemed like a poem I became speechless. For a boy of this age to say such words, but what got to me the most was the way he spoke them, the sweetness and deep meaning behind those words. Beautiful. While blushing at my words the boy said, my dad was a writer he created that poem when I found a red rose at park. It stuck in my head. After another few minutes someone grabbed my hand it was Graphia. It's time to go young lady. With those words she dragged me away from the boy. I could tell his last word to me before he disappeared in the way of forest behind me. See you. We returned to mansion, brother left me at home with a satisfied look and gone back to his office. I was able to get to my room and got changed into my nightdress. I lied down on my bed and while remembering that boy's face and his clear brown eyes I drifted to sleep. Present, I woke up in my bed that memory it's been 5 years since then while thinking those things I got up from bed and got to my window. Looking out I remembered that it has been 2 days since the Cacabial incident and I will need to give a report to my brother soon about that. While getting dressed and getting my back, I was remembering that boy again. I wonder where he is now. And with those thoughts I left my room. Issei Pav, like I thought there nothing like fresh air of Japan. I said out loud while standing atop of tallest building in Kuo town. Partner don't forget what we came here to do. I don't want you to become a lab rat for that lunatic's experiments ever again. Just remembering it gives me chills, me. Says my life dragon partner while a green ball of light appeared in center of my hand. Don't remain me drag. I never want to go through that again. Either way you're right, it's about time we pay that girl a visit and do our job. But those words I jumped of the building and spread my red wings. I just love flying. While in air his mind trades to a day he first met a girl that had a crimson air, just like the airs of Gremory. She was serious about that being her family's trait. Her brother had hair just like her. I wonder if she still remembers me. With those thoughts I decided to speed up a bit. Ria's Pav. While going to school together with my servants, I still think about dream I had for the last days. It's the same dream ever since that battle with Cacabial, I wonder what does it mean. Ria's one Sama. Are you alright? Is something the matter Ria's? Taking me away from my thoughts are both my bishop and queen, Asia and Akeno. Akeno is my best and most trusted friend that knows everything about me, while Asia is like a little sister too, and I treat her like that. It's nothing just thinking about how to write report for Oni-sama. Of course I would lie in this situation I can't just say that I have been thinking about my first love. Yes that boy was my first lover crush like some human girls would say. I mean what girl wouldn't fall for a person that says a poem about color of her hair. Good morning Butcho, Fuku Butcho, Asia. Beta, Ara. Good morning Zenobia-chan. Good morning Zenobia-san. Good morning Zenobia. Akeno, Asia and me welcome new member of my period Zenobia Court that after discovering in that fight that God is dead became a devil. How is Miss Arena? Have you heard from her at all? Yes it seems that she safely returned to Vatican and gave the Excalibur pieces back to church. I'm glad that she was not present during that battle. If she would hear the truth she would have broken down right there. Indeed her friend that was dispatched with her Arena Shindo was injured previous to the battle and was not able to help us. But because of Zenobia's words I think it was the truth. Even Asia previously called Holy Maiden that was betrayed by church and thrown away because of her good heart still believed in that great presence. To discover that he was dead, it was a true shock, but she was over it or that's what I wanted to believe. After conferring that Durandal was still in her possession, we met both Gasper, Yudo and Kaneko, getting back from Convi's store after buying bentos and Kaneko's sweets. We were enjoying our way to school while Asia and Zenobia talked about their time at church while me and Akeno were deciding how to write that report for Oni-sama and the other three just smiled and listened to others. Just before a small bridge before school we saw a commotion and it was not a cult research club kind of commotion that got attention of both boys and girls. It was something or this case someone else. Using our enhanced hearing of devils we were able to make some kind of gossip between students. Who is that? He looks so cool. Where did he come from? Well, girls were saying that I heard voices of boys. Damn him. Who does he think he is? I pretty boy. Having enough of just leasing we got closer and as a third year I decided to end this commotion. Okay everyone. You're blocking the way to school. Ah. Ria's one Sama. Orc members as well. And with that all hell broke loose at us, but with my authority I told them to go to school, and by saying authority, I mean a little magic that helped me control this chaos. And now turning to the main problem of this commotion. Excuse me? You're not a student of this academy. What are you doing here? At my words the stranger stood from Bridge's railing and straightened up. And throw his hood that hides his face in front of use, and I had a weird feeling in my heart. I saw young men in sport butts, black jeans, wearing a red t-shirt and on it black good with a symbol of what looked like a dragon on back and lastly a necklace that was hidden beneath his shirt. But my attention was placed on his face the most. To put it simple he was very handsome. He has brown spike hair with tied at back a ponytail split in two separate tails. His right eye had a light brown color, but his left was a pure green. It was unusual even to me to meet people with iris heterochromia. But that shine in his green eye made him a little mysterious and the grin on his face that he made when he saw use. Actually I wanted to see if a certain Oham-san and her peerage were fine. At those words we all tensed up and I asked slowly. Who are you? Oh. Now that I think about it I did not introduce myself then. My name is Issei Haidu, Security Welsh Dragon. He ended his introduction with a swift smirk. Welsh Dragon. On words of my surprise both Udo and Zenobia moved fast behind him with both of their swords drawn. Why are you here? What do Security wants with us? After Udo's question Zenobia asked next, but I was still in shocked while thinking that my count of persons that made me blush got down from 3 back to 2. Oi oi. Is that how a devil thanks for saving his life? Besides do you really think that you would stand a chance against me? But that question every one of you sweat dropped. In truth we were doomed if he would not appeared back then not to add that he defeated Kakabiel with ease while we were trying to survive. Zenobia, Udo drop, but those swords away. Don't make a scene in front of school. I said those words with my co-ending tone. Turning to him I ask. And you why did you come here? Old man Azazel told me to come here and tell a devil representative of what happened to Kakabiel after that. But since you are busy with school I will come after your lessons end at around 5 AM. Is that fine with you Ria's Gremory-san? He asked while still having that wide grin on his face. Yes it is. Well then until later. He passed us and turned back to say something more. It was nice seeing you again, Oham-san. And leaving those words behind he disappeared into thin air. Normal POV. The school is boring, interesting or exacting for students of prestigious Kuo Academy. Of course everything depends on the person for people like Udo Kiba's fun club, exacting for being able to their prince from dreams, interesting for foreign students like Asia Argent and Zenobia Kurt, or just plain boring like the infamous perverted duo that were in school only to peek on girls from Kendo Club and changing room. The only persons that was not in those 3 categories, at least today, was one of the 4 great ladies of this school Ria's Gremory. No here thought were placed upon the young man that she met, or should she say properly met that called himself Security, and his name was Issei Haidu. Why can't I take him and that stupid grin of his out of my head? While dreading the upcoming meeting, Issei had actually no problem with meeting members of Orc. One because he was used to meeting other factions while on jobs from Azazel, and he knew personally a few devils that were not evil or good for him, it meant that it was a persons he could talk with. While roaming the streets of his hometown, he did not notice a small bat following him. The creature in question was Rias's familiar that she sent during lunch break to spy on him. To members of her peerage it seemed that she was very worried of the boy or very interested in him. What they did not suspect was for the boy to go to graveyard near the new church in center of town. They became more curious as to why he gone there, but while crossing the brother of cement art, the feedback from familiar was cut off and she was transported back to her master by putted beforehand transport magic. Ara. It seems that someone does not want us in that place. Won't you say so Rias? It seems so in Dedekeno. I wanted to have some information about him as an ace in Hull for our meeting, but it can't be helped. We will just need to be cuties in this case. Everyone I'm counting on you. Yes, Butcho. All of them said in union. At the same time they decided to go back to their classroom and spend rest of school day in peace while preparing mentally for their meeting with Security. Going back to Issei he was now in front of his family gravestone. It has been at least 2 years since he came to pay respect to his parents. He could see that no one else came to them since he had no other family it was obvious, but still he felt sadness befall him for thinking that no one else visited his parents. Oh my. If it isn't Little Ice-kun. He turned to the voice and what he saw was an older lady with grey hair dressed in normal clothes. A long dress and a green sweater. Hi Mi-san. It's been a while. I forgot all about her. He remembered the older lady as his neighbor in his childhood that his parents left him on their nights out. To him she was like a grandma that he never met. Indeed it has. Just look at you. So big and so handsome. Maybe I should introduce you to my granddaughter. If I remember correctly you are both in same age and that girl still can find a nice young man like you. While saying that old lady gone off to her own little world and as listening more to what she was saying he began to sweat dropped. Hayumi-san. I remember your granddaughter. We used to play together and I bet she grown up fine. Besides I'm not sure that her parents would allow her to date a boy that loves on foot not staying in one place for long. It was an excuse but a one that was a truth. For last 4 years he has not been able to stay in one place, always going somewhere to train or on a mission given to him by Azazel. Well I guess that's true. Knowing my son and his wife, but either way you came to pay respect to them. Yes. I haven't been here for 2 years I thought that I would at least leave some flower showing her a bouquet of red roses and rare green ones as well. Besides myself and my husband I doubt that anyone else comes to see them. And with those words a silent heavy atmosphere befell both of them. He got closer and placed the flowers besides the gravestone and decided to pray. He knew that there no one to pray for besides gods of Japan and other gods from other countries. Miss Kayumi did the same. Replaced the old flowers with new ones and prayed to God for happiness for both of them in heavens. I'm really thankful for coming to my parents' grave Kayumi-san. If it weren't for you and your husband I guess that this gravy would be dusty and overgrown by plants. You don't need to thank me. Your father was a close friend of my son. And I felt like a mother when I was talking with your mother. After a little talk Issei turned around and started walking while declaring, well I have some business in the town so I will need to get going. I see. By the way Ice-kun if you would be free in the near future come by our house I bet that my husband would be glad to see you again. At those words Issei remembered an old grumpy man that he liked to call Gramps. If I will be able to eat your delicious food, I will gladly visit. While shouting he disappeared behind the corner. Well here we are. Issei staged while standing in front of a huge double door leading to Orc Club Room, what was in reality Ria's Gremory's stronghold here in Kuo Academy. Are there any surprises for us Drag? I don't feel anything of sorts partner. Okay then let's get this over with. And with that small talk he opens the door and sees the room. A room with 2 windows on his left, in center of room a little coffee table and on both sides a black sofa. At back of room a desk for paperwork and 1 chair that looked like a set. Heading back to table on one of its sofa was sitting Ria's and her servants behind her. Issei moved inside closing the doors behind him and moving to the other spray in front of Ria's. He sat down and waited for the young devil girl to make her move. Very well then. Now that you are here I would like to hear Fallen Angel's involvement in the accident that happened 2 days ago. With that statement she straightened up and fiercely looked at her opponent in this talk. Issei took someone kind of disc and placed it in front of Ria's while saying, I'm only here as a messenger and this is the said massage. He activated the divide and what appeared was a hologram of Azazel. Hello this is message left by yours true genius Azazel-sama. More like a moron than genius. By now I suspect that Issei boy said something about with a word moron, but I will let it elite for now and get to business. Kakabiel has taken own personal orders. Right now we know nothing about others that shared his ideas but we are investigating every possible accomplices. By the end of those words, Riaz has headed everything that she needed to write a good report for her brother, but those were the least of her problems. During this entailed message she was not able to truly concentrate and that was seen by her servants and especially Akeno and Asia. What they did not know was the reason for this dissociation. That was an unknown for them, but Riaz knew the answer to that question Issei Haidu. Ever since he entered the room she was not able to take her eyes off him. She did not understand if it was because of who he was or something entirely different was making her eyes not able to look away from the young man. Let it grip Riaz. He is an agent for Fallen Angels. While having those thoughts Riaz was brought back to reality by Azazel's next statement. Since we do not know if the danger has passed I'm leaving my messenger Issei Haidu as a bodyguard. I already got him transferred to Kuo Academy so no problem and a place to sleep. What? At those words every person in the room were surprised by Fallen Angel's leader but mostly was the person in question Issei. He got out his phone and dialed a number. Hello old man. What does it mean I need to stay as bodyguard? But. I'm sure there are. But. Hello. Hello old man. Old man. But an unbearable silence his talk with who devils though was Azazel ended and silence once again overtook the room. Well it seems that the story is true. Sue I think I'm going to look for that hotel. I guess that is the best option. And with those words leaving an atmosphere of doubt and dumb blank expressions of devils Issei left the Orc Club's room in search of a place that Azazel got him. On the borders of the town stood an abandoned church which in began to shine a purple light. From there came out 4 figures clad in black cloaks. So this is the place. Said one of cloak figures. It seems that way. I hope this will not be for nothing. It will not, we will do our task and complete the mission. All the three figures talked forth, walked outside and thought of no mission, but a person. I'm coming for you, me lovely Issei. Normal Pav. It was morning in Kuo town, and the rays of light started shining on Issei's face in his hotel room. That Azazel got him for now, since delivering the news of him becoming well to put simple bodyguard for high-class devil, as well as future head of Gremory House Ria's Gremory. He met her 5 years ago, but it seemed like she did not recognize him. Besides that, he have heard only rumors about her, and that she was known as Crimson Ruin Princess. That title was earned thanks to her power of destruction that belongs to clan of Beal, that her mother was a member of until wedding with her father. But to Issei it was different to him. She was right now only a very beautiful teenage girl that was a year older than him. After few more minutes after regaining consciousness, he got up and decided to take shower, since after yesterday's news, he was so dumbfounded he forgot to take shower after getting to hotel room. After that, he grabbed his new school uniform that consisted of what seemed like a light black suit with school's emblem on his left chest. Same uniforms as in anime. Under it he wore a red t-shirt and he left his jacket unbuttoned to revel his shirt. He tied his hair, got his bag with textbooks and school materials, and came down to hotel restaurant, ate breakfast and gone off to school. Now that I look at it, it's a pretty big school. While thinking, why did school need so much space? He always thought that a brick figure building, sports ground and a cafeteria was enough for it to be an appropriate school for studying. But this academy was, in a word, gigantic. The same as in anime. While crossing the main gate and heading for main entrance to the building, he heard people on their way to school starting to gossip about him. He was able to make some words like cool or handsome, but there were sentences like go die. And not another bishinin. He could think that first were girls and the die or go to hell were guys. But he didn't really care because he was still pissed off on Azazel for making him do this. I still don't get it. Of all people in Grigori, why me? Then he remembered Shemahaza that Issei thought of like an actual father always said that he would like for Issei to have a bit of fun like normal human beings in his age. But he always swept it, saying that he wasn't a normal human being and that he needed to train. I guess that uncle had something to do with this, but that he noticed that he was already in main school building and needed to go to teacher's facility for meeting with his homeroom teacher. Heading to meet his teacher was one. Now it was time to meet his class. He didn't really know what to do. His teacher said that he will call him when it will be the time for him to introduce himself. And now, with no further ado, I would like you to meet your new classmate. You can enter now. Yes, and with a simple answer, doors to class sided open and from them, Issei has entered classroom and a hell broke loose on him. It's him, the guy from yesterday. Like I thought he would transfer. Another prince, Kidea. Those were the girls. As for boys, new. One more. Why use? Why? Hey, maybe he's a pervert. You know, like a wolf in sheep's clothes. Okay, everyone be quiet and let him introduce properly. With teacher's statement, the class became silent and were concentrated on the new addition to their class. I'm Issei Haidu, it's nice to meet all of you. But that he was able to finally see the two devils from Rias's Parage were in his class, the blue-eyed guy that attained balance breaker in that fight and blonde-haired girl with emerald green eyes. His conciseness shifted back when one of students shoot up from seat. Ice? Is that you? My Caddis? He asked, still not being able to believe that one of his childhood friend was in the same class as him. She was my Caddis, granddaughter of Miss Kiyomi and his friend back when they were little. Caddis looks exactly like the one in anime. Miss Caddis, if you're familiar with Mr. Haidu, why don't you show him around the campus? Hi. With pleasure. And just for future references, I will give you an extra homework so that you will remember to do not explode like that during lessons. At the end of his sentence, the class erupted into small laughs at the reaction of girl. On the other hand, Yudo thought to himself to report that he may found a way to control security by using his friend. Well then, Haidu-kun, why don't you take a seat next to Kiba-kun? With words of teacher, Yudo was dragged out of his own world and back into reality. He observed as the man approached his seat, and when he cites himself, he gave a surprise to young devil. Issei Haidu, nice to meet you. With a smile, he gave his hand to be shaken. Ah, the same. I'm Yudo Kiba. Next thing, both boys shake their hands, and at that Issei, but a little more force to his shake and pushed Yudo so that his ear would be near Issei's mouth, and in that second girls exploded with Kaya. At foul volume, but Yudo heard Issei whisper. Try anything to Mia, and I may change myself from bodyguard into killer. With a hint of malice, he moved away. In that moment, Yudo felt like something had grabbed his hurt and tried to rip it out. A true fear that he never felt before. Even in the face of death as he escaped from HSP facility all those years ago. He just nodded slowly, and his opponent's face changed from stoic to a face with wide grin on it. Yudo at this moment understood that use his team was they did not stand a chance against a might of security. Lunch break was a time for students to enjoy their free time and have a little break from studying. But this lunch break was a little different for Issei and Mia, as they were enjoying their company and she was showing him around the campus. Right now they were talking beneath one of trees at back of school. But still to think that you would transfer back to Kuo. I was totally surprised. I heard from Bachan that you were in town but to transfer. It was a surprise for me as well. I was more made to come here. Seeing his face she guessed that it was a decision made on a moment. Still I'm happy to see you again like this. It's been 7 years since auntie and uncle funeral. So much time passed. The mode full down once again so as man he decided to change subject. By the way you still train. Kendo I mean. He remembered that the three of them. Mia, Issei and a boy that transferred to England once attended the same Kenjutsu dojo and that she was really into it. It seemed as the girl remembered that as well. With proud expression began talking. Dear and be surprised as well as honored. You're talking to last year's winner of nationals as well as new captain of Kuo Academy's girls kendo club. With a satisfied expression on face she ended her statement and next was the boy's turn to talk. Oh I'm not worth. At that time the girl started to giggle at boy's return of her small play. But seriously that's amazing Mia. You parents need to be proud of you. They are but from time to time dad still complained how I should more like a lady. Well to me seems like you grow up into a splendid young lady. At his words and wide smile her face began to burn up and memories of their time together and feelings that came with them returned but she decided to push those thoughts away and return to their conversation. Hiroi-kun. Where are you looking at? She said while trying to cover her chest. No. That's I didn't mean his entire face become red and he couldn't feel more embarrassed at the moment. At his reaction Mia could do nothing but burst out laughing like a madman as Fog our hero he remembered how his friend was like when they were children. I already forgot how you liked to tease me every second you got back when we were little. At memories of her time while doing pranks and teasing both him and the other boy as a child, it even brought out an even larger smile on her face. The same happened to her friend, but he gave her a grin that rivaled her smile. And you? Still training? Nah I found fighting with fists more to my taste. But I do remember a thing or two. Then would you like to have a spar with our team one time? Sure. Sounds like fun. At that second she finally noticed that one of Issei eye was green, but not like her friend's Asia, it was more pure color than normal green. A color only seen at pictures or paintings. The color was called jade. What happened to your eye? If I remember it was chocolate brown. Her question startled him a little. I can't tell her truth. He thought. It had changed color. One morning I wake up and bam my left eye was green. I would say that it's jade. You know a more pure green. Oh that's because of the light. When it shines it gets more shine. Don't know why thou. The girl was suspicious of his behavior. But decided to leave it at that since she knew better than prowl into one's personal life. Even if he was her childhood friend. Oh but it's really pretty. Yeah I guess so. Issei was glad he was able to avoid subject of his left eye. Looking at his watch he said. It's almost end of break let's get back to class. Yeah it's a good idea. Mia seemed a little down so to make her cheer up a bit he said something that he would regret later on. Hey. I will tell you about it one day. Just not right now. Okay. But that girl stopped her walking and said. Promise. With a sigh he assured her promise. At that the girl turned around and shot him what he knew all too well. It was a grin of victory. You set me up. You actually seated me up. The victory is won in mind not body ever heard that. Why you little. Dot. At his reaction Mia sprinted forward into main building, trying to outrun Issei that seemed a little angry with her actions. Wow. Was the only word Mia and the girls could think of as they seen their senpais thrown around like rag dolls by one transfer student dressed in karate uniform. The day was a special physical education lesson of self-defense with members of both male and female karate club. 3 years and 2 years were actually very strange being last year's runner-ups in national tournament. And right now saying bluntly they were taking beating. 10 males. 4 third years and 6 second years were mostly lying in shambles as some of them were trying to get up and get back into fight. He did say that fighting with fists was more to his taste, but isn't this too much? Was what Mia was thinking. Hey sensei. Is this all the school has to offer from their club members in matter of karate? With those words the resting female members of karate club got up and started to walk towards Issei being really pissed off at him for talking like that. 30 women surrounded him and started their offense. Now this is getting interesting. With a wide grin he started to engage girls in a fight. Well isn't he an all-knowing? From karate to judo to do not harm the girls. Impressive. On the other side of dojo Yudo was looking at the fight and noticed one thing that others did not. Issei Haidu started smiling genuinely while fighting. It was not his usual grin like most of time. It was a true smile. He started to understand that more and more about Issei with every minute. He was knowledgeable, not genius-like, but he was smart. Strong as well as he could see and known in martial arts. And one more thing. Fighting gave him pleasure. It was finally the end of his first day at school. He was preparing to go home while he saw Mia come closer to him and saying something, but she was not fast enough as Yudo said something else. Ice would, Haidu-kun, could you come with me? Our butcho would like to talk with you. It was obvious that it was not a question, not like a statement that only answer was yes. But playing cool, he answered to him first and then turned his head to Mia. Okay. Sorry Mia. Maybe tomorrow. Sure. Was her only answer she could come up with while observing her friend go out of classroom with the so-called prince of Kuo Academy. Ai-kun, you know you don't need to be so worried of me. Was all Issei could say to Yudo on their way to old school building, in which was the place where Orc's clubroom was located. Hearing that did not seem to made things easier for Yudo after remembering this morning's little talk with him. Noticing that Issei tried different approach. Listen, if it's about this morning, I'm sorry. Yudo stopped at his words. It's just that I have a little experience with devils, and since knowing that having a person's close to you while being a person of unknown creates ideas to good for enemies. That's all. Yudo couldn't say he did not understand his situation. Being made a bodyguard of some devil princess, on top of that having trust issues with her servants, and for Desert meeting his childhood friend in school that was their stronghold. It was a pretty good reason to act like that. So I know, don't worry, I understand that. I suppose that if our position were reversed I would do the same. So don't worry. With that he started walking once more and stopped again after hearing a large sigh. At that he turned to the persons that let it out. I'm glad. I thought that you were more of a hold-up person that did not think outside the box. I'm glad that I was wrong. At his words Yudo couldn't help but be a bit surprises at how different the other boy was after clearing his misunderstanding up. And with that said, let's reintroduce ourselves. The name is Issei Haidu, but you can call me Ice if you want. Nice to meet you. He ended his reintroduction with a V sign, at which Yudo started to laugh a little. He could be more surprised at differences between Issei's seriousness personality and his easygoing attitude and understand that he was like that with persons he accepted as friends. You're really interesting, Ice-kun. It's nice to meet you, again I guess. I'm Yudo Kiba. Ria's Gremory Sama loyal knight. But you can call me. How about you? But the surprised look for his nickname from his me friend, it did not sound so bad. In fact he liked it. It's not bad. Very well, you can call me you, Ice-kun. Ooh. Nice to meet you. The pleasure is all mine, Ice-kun. And with that an unexpected friendships was created between two boys that after heartwarming confession continued on their way to clubroom. The object of her inability to focus during lessons on Eve Moore was the freshly transferred young Security. To her surprise he was younger by a year, and from what she heard he defeated entire karate club during their self-defense lesson. She was taken away from those thoughts as Yudo and Issei entered the room. Onek again, her body began to burn up a bit. Hello, Gremory senpai. Hello, Haidu-kun. How's the school? Well, you may have heard about my fight with karate club, so I would say it's been pretty good. Indeed I have. And about discovering that your childhood friend is attending the same school as you. At her words she felt a feeling of danger and noticed that it was coming from Issei. This feeling she knew from fight with Kakabiel. It was a bloodlust. Don't worry, I will do nothing to endanger a normal human into our world. With that the filing ended and Issei relaxed a bit, which was noticed and commented by snickering, courtesy of Yudo. After that little show Issei decided to sit on sofa and listen to conditions that probably Ria's made for him to stay with them. For our cover to do not be discovered I would like you to join our club. Oh. Why is that? By being in this club you will be able to go out during lessons. Of course there are other merits to it, like having a home base for our activities as devils and in your case my bodyguard. And about that. Old man said that he talked to your brother in that case, so there's no problem. And I get to have this kind of normal high school live. I see, that's good. With ending of their conversation Akeno and Asia have entered the room carrying cups of tea for everyone including Issei. Very well then. IRB welcome you to Occult Research Club Issei Haidu. Thank you Butcho. And you can call me Ice since it's kind of weird being called full name by a senpai. He flashed her a smile while touching the back of his head in embarrassed manner that made her blush. Ara. I did not know that Butcho preferred younger boys. You fufu. Said Akeno while handling her cup, and she countered with intense glare. While doing a friendly fight Asia has made her way to Ice and handling him his cup of tea. Here you go Haidu-san. You don't need to be so nervous. And call me Ice. We're both classmates, so it's little weird that you call me by my family name. He took a cup from her and showed her a smile that she returned with a bright red smile. Hi Ice-san. Observing everything from her chair she was glad that both her servants and her new bodyguard were getting along. What she did not know that their peace that they just stained would be quickly destroyed by upcoming storm. End of the part 1. So how was this story? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this movie with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.